Why did Vader let Ben go? Well, there's a plethora of reasons as to why that is. Welcome to another video, first of all, ladies and gentlemen. I want to just get into this first. So the reason why Vader let him go, let's get the obvious out the way. Because there's 3 more episodes. Okay, you can click off the video now. I'm done. That's it. Finished. No, I'm joking. That's one reason, is they got 3 more episodes and they want to stretch it out. But I think there is a real story reason there. The first one that I can think of and that I can really narrow down is, and this has been discussed by many others as well, and I'm inclined to agree, is Vader is disappointed. He's disappointed in the duel or the fight that Ben has given him. He expected to fight his old master, the one that left him for dead, the one that let him burn alive. And all he's seeing is a coward running away and putting up no fight whatsoever. So Vader's probably in 2 headspaces right now. Headspace number 1. I'm going to get a rematch of the century, as they called it. Rematch of the century. We're going to duke it out, right? We're going to make this right. And we're going to see who the best of us two is, right? That's the first headspace. The other headspace is he's also thinking, right, if you're not going to give me the match I desire, I'm going to torture you slowly, painfully. I'm going to inflict as much pain on you as you inflicted upon me. And I think he's like, okay, I'm going to torture you slowly. I know some people said, why didn't he just put him in the fire fully? Why didn't he just finish him off fully? You got to understand, the thing is, Vader's not in a headspace out of the 2 I've just mentioned where he's thinking a swift blow. Now, when it gets to A New Hope, right, this man literally has his lightsaber, waits 3 seconds, and then cuts him right in half. And that is the evolution of Vader and most of the Jedi by that point. The theatrics and fanfare, it's right out the window, and they're more focused on just getting it done, swift hits, sort of like how Darth Maul and Kenobi in Rebels, when they duel, there's not as much fancy trickery, there's not as much as, it's more of just, okay, 1 2 3 bang, you're dead. Like that's where the characters get to. And I think this only strengthens that when you watch A New Hope or you watch that scene with Rebels and old Ben and Kenobi, you're like, hey, these are seasoned characters where they're not doing all this gimmicky fanfare now. And as cool as it is, it's swift strikes, it's fast, and it's straight to the point. There's no, all of this. Like, it's just literally whoosh, whoosh, done. And I think, aside from strengthening that, and I've been asked this quite a bit, do I think, and I've discussed this with many others too, do I think personally, to me, that there isn't going to be another match? No. Heavily, no. They teased rematch of the century. That was not rematch of the century. That was akin to Vader taunting Luke in Empire Strikes Back. He's teasing with him. He's toying with him. And the fight choreography looked a bit Rise of Skywalker-esque for me. Like they were swinging baseball bats. But I think the final fight that they have inevitably in episode 6 is going to be, this is a teaser for that. This is whetting our appetite. And I think that fight's going to be more in line with what we want for these 2 characters. Now, I'm sure many of you have seen the SC-38 fan film, for all intents and purposes, of Vader and Ben having a rematch. And do I think it will match that? Probably not. But as I've said before, one fan fight in isolation, out of context of a movie or show, is only as strong as anything else. And we need to build up to that. We need to get to that moment. We couldn't just have Kenobi release and that's it, Vader and Ben fight. Like that, that's just a fan film. Like, as great as it is, what's the story narrative that gets us there? Now, do I think it will be as good as that fan film? Probably not, because there's more passion there. There's no restrictions. And there was an article that came out, I think either today or yesterday, that said Vader's brutality in the village. The writer Harold, he wanted to go further, and Disney were like, reel it back in, and I'm like, you could have gone further. You should have gone all in. Like, it's like this is a part of Vader where he's not original trilogy Vader, where there's a seed of redemption. He's not Rogue One Vader, where he's cutting down rebels. He's not Rebels Vader, where he's fighting his former apprentice Ahsoka. This is post-Revenge of the Sith, 10 years down the line, Darth Vader, that will absolutely massacre anyone in his way. He couldn't give a frog's fat ass about the Grand Inquisitor. As he tells Reva, the Grand Inquisitor means nothing. Kenobi is all that matters now. Like, he's driven. He's dead set on this mission. Everything else takes a back seat. This takes precedence. And I think that feeds into why he lets Ben go. because Ben doesn't give him the fight that he craves. And I think in some way, Anakin is hoping that Ben, when he sees him again, inevitably, it's going to be a case of, right, Ben's going to throw down this time. And there's that great image that was released and revealed way back when of like this fiery background, Obi-Wan with his hood up, you know, fighting Vader. And I think the next episode, because I'm going to upload this before episode 4 drops, the next episode is going to be flashback heavy. We're going to get flashbacks with Reva, flashbacks with Anakin, flashbacks with Obi-Wan. It's going to be a very flashbacky episode. And I'm actually there for it because that's where the context for the characters really sets in, and that's where we can really have some more growth. But there's so many reasons as to why Vader let him go, and I think that's probably where I would put my money, that he lets him go because he's disappointed. He's like, you know, hey, what is this? You know, you're the guy that cut me limb from limb, left me a burn, and you're running away like a pussy. Like, come on. But then again, can you blame him? I mean, when Vader pulls up, I mean, shout out to everyone that's seen my little If Star Wars Was Halloween thing, because the dude's Michael Myers. He walks through the town like he's Michael Myers. He's choking people. He snaps a kid's neck. He's strangling a woman along the floor, throwing stuff everywhere. Driven. Very, 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 very driven. And I do hope that with the next couple of episodes, they really don't lose the momentum. Keep this going. And I think for me, I'm crossing my fingers that they're not going to do this. Please don't lie to us. And when I say that, I do have a grievance with this show. And this is something I have a grievance with Rise of Skywalker for. Don't put Duel of the Fates in the trailers if you're not going to use it in the show or movie. Stop doing that. If I don't hear Duel of the Fates in the final duel, already that fan film is better. Already. Because you have access to the library. And I understand, you know, you want to give new composers a shot and a chance. And Natalie Holt is doing a great job. I don't want to undersell that. But I think there's so many moments in the last few episodes where that classic John Williams score, when that kicks in, it hits so much more differently. There's an edit I saw of the Vader suiting up scene where the Anakin's Dark Deeds is playing and stuff. And it's like, why didn't you just use that? Like, you used it in Solo for an Imperial advert in universe. Like, why can't you? Rebels has used the music. Clone Wars has used the music. Like, what's stopping us? Like, can we stop doing that? So I'm hopeful that they're going to use those scores, because you can hear echoes in the soundtrack of Anakin's betrayal, Anakin's Dark Deeds, Battle of the Heroes, Duel of the Fates. You can hear it in the soundtrack, but it's just not 100% clear because it's a rendition. It's not the original. But the soundtrack is probably the weakest point of this show for me. I might do a video sort of talking a bit more about that. But back to the original point, Vader lets him go because he doesn't give him the fight that he craves, and he wants to enjoy this. And also, I know this was another thing. Why didn't Vader just go through the fire because I've just explained, he's disappointed. He doesn't want, like, this isn't Obi-Wan. What is this? This is like some variant or something. He's like, what the hell? Like, you know, I want to fight. I want to fight, and I want to make sure that I'm facing you when you're at your best. It's like that thing of, you ask any fighter in boxing, MMA, whatever, when they fight their opponents, they do not want to fight their opponent when they're at his weakest. They want to fight them when they're at the strongest, because if you beat someone when they're at the weakest, you can't brag about it. You can't, you know, you can only go so far with it. Whereas if you beat someone when they're at their best, you have bragging rights. You can say, hey, yo, I beat this dude when he's at his best, so that makes me the best. It's an ego thing, you know. It's well, not always, but in this context of Darth Vader, it's an ego thing. He wants to be vindicated in believing that he is better than Obi-Wan. And think back to the line in Revenge of the Sith when he says, you underestimate my power. Like, the way he's saying it is like, hey, I'm better than you, and I'm going to prove it. Now, obviously, we know what happens, you know, and then, but he wants to prove that he's better. And then he's going to have another fight with him in episode 6. And what's going to happen there is Obi's probably going to win in some kind of way. Obi's going to escape. And then by the time of A New Hope, that will be their final duel. And in that one, Vader's playing no games, swift strikes, cut the fanfare, you're done. Like, they can recontextualize that in such a great way. But guys and girls, jump in the comment section down below. By the time this video goes live, there should be a Cobra Kai video on the way. Yes, I'm back to talking about Cobra Kai again, so that'll please some of my Cobra Kai contingent. But yeah, Kenobi episode 4 tomorrow. I can't wait for it. And I'm really enjoying this. I'm really enjoying talking about more things in a much more, because I'm an on-camera kind of guy, you know. I don't do like the fancy edits and all that stuff. Like, leave that to the TikTokers. Like, I prefer camera, talking to the camera, talking to you guys, and that's just how I prefer. I'm an on-camera kind of guy, you know, in case you couldn't tell with wanting to be an actor. It's there. But guys and girls, jump in the comment section down below. Let me know your opinions. Let me know your thoughts. And, you know, I'll end it with just a nice juicy clip. A nice juicy clip.